Flavor Flav.
Yeah, boy!
Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav in the building for the Better Agency. Nicholas wants everyone to know how they need to listen to the truth that Nick and Preston are giving them. Flavor Flav shouting y'all out right now. You heard me? So hold it down and keep making it a better agency. Alright?
Welcome to the Better Agency Podcast, where we are talking to real agency owners from across the land, finding out what makes their agency tick, how they're able to grow, their processes, their marketing, everything that makes them who they are as an agency owner and makes them successful. Today, we're fortunate to have Beaux Pilgrim on the show today. Beaux is from the Bayou State of Louisiana. Go Tigers! If you're if you're Coach Oregon there. But I'm joined as always, by my co-host, partner in crime here at Better Agency, Preston Schmidley. What's going on, Preston?
What's going on? You're getting pretty good at that.
I'm getting pretty good at saying your name. You're right. It's when you say it fast, I talk really fast.
Say my name, Nick.
Put some respect on it. No, I talk really, really fast naturally.
Yeah.
And so with your name, it's such a horrible name, two horrible words, that when you have to say them really fast together.
You've been finally reading books for the first time in your life. You're familiarizing yourself with the English language. This is all good.
Yeah. I mean, your name is right out of a Dr. Seuss book, so it fits right in. So. But we can go all day, and I can decimate you verbally all day long. But that's not why we're here. We're here because we want to talk to Beaux Pilgrim. Beaux, how long have you been in the industry as an agency owner?
As agency owner, 10 years.
10 years. You've seen a lot happen in the last 10 years, I'm sure.
Oh gosh, yeah, a whole heck of a lot has changed, especially in automation and just everything digital.
Talk to us about a time in the last 10 years where you ran into some trouble. And maybe trouble's a hard word, but talk to us about a time in your life as an agency owner where there was something you had to really overcome, something that you had to get past.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I'll, really, probably the most difficult thing I guess I had to overcome or get past was whenever I first purchased the agency. I'm in an extremely rural town. It's 4,000 people in my town, and it's just an extremely rural area that we're in. We're kind of the delta of Louisiana. It's kind of an impoverished area, and our agency over a couple of decades had really kind of evolved to more of a non-standard auto agency, and wrote a lot of that stuff. We had a little bit of small commercial and a lot of low-value dwellings, and I got into the agency and purchased it from my father-in-law. Quickly learned that we were slowly losing at the game, and in a couple of years we probably were going to not exist anymore. And I was kind of having to look at potentially letting go of some staff and some other stuff, and just started evaluating the agency and just knew I really didn't want to still play that same game of chasing after non-standard auto stuff, and so started making some really hard decisions with the agency, and that started with just trying to figure out, okay, well, I don't want to do this. What do I want to do? And how do I start doing that? And I know it was kind of tough for, several years trying to change the staff that we had to, change their mentality. Cause you guys know, y'all do preferred stuff, preferred home auto, commercial lines. And man, it's just two different thought processes between sale for, non-standard auto, low value dwelling stuff versus a preferred home. And, it was, turning a ship. We had a little bitty rudder, there for several years, and it was kind of difficult. Our margins got extremely thin there for a little while, and but we come out of it and doing much better these days.
Nice.
So now I had heard a stat. Now, you're going to have to correct me where this is wrong, but you've been a Better Agency owner for a user for some time now, and I heard a stat. How long has it been?
I think 9 months. I started December 2019.
Yeah, 9 months. So going on a year now. You've been a user, and you have used Better Agency, and it's increased your retention from what to what? What was it before Better Agency, and what is it after Better Agency?
It was 95% before, and it's 98% now.
98% retention. Now, we don't have to get into numbers beyond that, but you can probably imagine having an agency for a decade, roughly, if they're at it for a decade, they've got some stuff on the books, right? They're of reputable size. To increase your retention, number one, a 98% retention on a
insane
business, that is you're printing money at that point. But to increase it 3 points, that's got to have a tremendous impact on your business.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, you think about it. Anybody if they'll just sit for a minute and just think, if I had 3% more of the money that I made last year, this year, it's phenomenal. Right. You have a book of business that's $5-10 million, whatever, or even smaller. I mean, even if you just have your scratch agency, you're 1 year into it, you're $1 million, and you take a calculator, do the math real quick. Man, that's phenomenal money.
Yeah.
And all we did was just turn on the automation.
Well, we'll talk about that. I mean, it had to be more than just turning on the automation. There had to be something more to that, or is that all you did?
That's pretty much all I did. I took the, better agencies got built into it, the renewal automation. Now I did turn on I turned on two things for my existing book of business. One of them was the renewal reminder. It will send a text and an email. I set mine to 60 days. I think it comes out of the box at 45. I wound up setting mine to 60. And then the other thing is the new client campaign. I dropped all the new clients in it, but also just went ahead and just dropped all of the existing clients in it. I had a couple other things. I think Facebook review. I can't remember if that's in there or not. And, just a couple other just contacts. But I mean, really, all of my book gets a text and an email probably about 10 times a year between those two things. And that was the only thing I did different.
Yeah, I mean,
that's nice.
Again, I think we think 3 points. 3 points when you're a year in is completely different than 3 points when you're a decade in. And that's pretty awesome. Now, talk to us about the agency. Is it still focused on non-standard? Have you been able to make some more preferred business? Talk to us about staff. Tell us how technology in general has made your life easier in year 10 versus what it was in year 1.
Oh gosh,
because in a rural community, I think most people think, and this is where I'm going with this, most people think, well, I'm in a small town, and my customers, they don't respond to that stuff, and they like to come in and sit at the desk and talk to us for 45 minutes, and we like to talk about their kids and their soccer practices, and there's a mentality around being in a small town that is almost, and I think, Preston, correct me if you think this is different, where it's almost technology adverse because they're afraid that it's going to disrupt that kind of small town vibe or rural vibe that they think they have to have in order to be successful. Talk to us about what technology has meant in your business, year 10 versus year 1.
Oh God, yeah, sure. The up until a few years ago, we took cash in the office. I mean, that's kind of the thing. You're in a small town. Everybody thinks that you got to do that. You got to have the doors open. You got to let people come in and bring cash or checks or whatever else. And we quit actually completely taking cash the beginning of this year. Nice. We've been doing it for ever since cash was invented, I guess. But we quit, and man, it has not disrupted our business at all. All the clients have accepted that they just come in and just we draft their credit card or their checking account if they come in. But then whenever COVID happened, we locked the doors. We've been working from the office all during it and just everybody being safe, and careful where they go. And we just shifted to doing everything. We were kind of going that way anyway, but then whenever that happened in March, I closed before Louisiana went into phase 1 or whatever. I knew it was coming. So I just said, all right, we're just gonna go ahead and just close the office. A couple of my staff people are older. I got a lady that works for me that's 70, and I got another lady that works for me that's getting close to 60, and her husband has got some health issues. And so I just was like, I'm just going to be safe. My staff is too important to me. I'm going to go ahead and just lock up and just, so we just started letting clients know, all right, we're still here. We can help you. Email, text, e-signature, phone, whatever. You need to make a payment, you can do it directly with them, or you can call us over the phone, and it has not disrupted our business at all.
I had a question on that, Beaux,
Mm-hmm.
because you said you guys were doing non-standard before, and there is no way in hell, and I'm hoping you prove me wrong on this, but the idea of a 98% retention in a non-standard book of business gives my brain a 404 error. So I'm trying to figure out, are you even doing non-standard anymore? Like, what is that about?
No, we don't do it. I have existing clients still that are local that are non-standard still and low value dwelling, but still, 10 years ago, non-standard auto was probably 60% of my book. Now it's maybe 20, but still even that.
Dude, having 1% of your book should take a few points off the retention just because they don't stay long. So the fact that you have 98% retention, shit, let's go back before the implementation of Better Agency. A 95% retention with non-standard being a part of your business model is insane. Most people that are all preferred are less than 95.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that, about 4 or 5 years ago, we were in the 80s, and I had to figure out some way to fix that. And, we just really became really proactive. The whole staff did about, retaining our clients and remarketing and different things like that. One of the things that we did was, we got a couple of tools right now. We use Easy Links for our management system. They got a great renewal tool, built into it. And we just started being much more proactive at it, at remarketing our clients, but also, we started looking at our client base in a different way. You guys are smart guys. Y'all know the 80-20 principle. Everybody's probably watching probably knows it, but we kind of started looking at our book and thinking about, while we're going through this process of trying to get away from non-standard to the more preferred stuff, there was no way we could shop every last single client we had, or even just the ones that just went up if we looked at everybody. So we split out our book more or less in half, and we kind of took the bottom half of our book and moved it to a code within our management system that we honestly, I hate saying it like this, but honestly we kind of ignore, and found out that most of that stuff just doesn't move. What we wound up doing was, this is no magic bullet here, but we slowly moved all that stuff to Progressive and just kind of left it there, and it just renews.
Well, hey, I guess that goes against the myth that non-standard isn't, has a high churn rate always. Now, you had mentioned implementing some different things in the business that help you, improve the retention. What has been the response? What has been the response from your employees? Because I think you mentioned how they're up there in age. So what has been the response from them, getting them on board with all of this? And what has been the response, aside from just the proof in the pudding of the retention, what have you heard from your customers as a result of implementing these processes?
Well, from staff, you just, staff that's, a little bit older, you just have to be a little bit patient and just kind of have to, because I had enough credibility with them, they trusted me to do it, but always there was that thing in the back of their mind of like, gosh, I don't want to do this. This is so much different than what I've ever done, whatever. But you do something, and you just push them a little bit out of their comfort zone so that they'll do something. They see that it works, then the next time it gets a little easier to sell it. But my staff is proof. There's that saying about you can't teach old dogs new tricks. I mean, that's just not true.
It's an excuse.
The problem,
if the dog wants to eat, the dog is going to learn how to sit down.
That's right. But if you treat the dog right and you show them the proper way,
right?
I
mean, it sounds a lot like parenting. If you want your kids to try, like, Nick's son is doing guitar right now. Well, it's like, if you make it a horrible experience, he's probably not going to like it. But if you
Right.
make it something that's rewarding and he can see the growth and he can see, it's one of those things where it's like parenting's not much different than that in that regard. It's like people want to see a positive outcome for doing something, especially something new, because that has this, it's unknown, it's scary. And it can trigger a lot of insecurities, right? Like it makes you kind of confront your own stuff. And so I think that that's great that you just kind of boiled it down to give them a new experience and help them see good things from it so that they're more likely to do that. I mean, you're rewarding good behavior. That's awesome.
Right. Well, the deal is that everybody wants to do something rewarding and like what they do for a living. And everybody loves to win. And, whenever you're seeing that you're winning, you're seeing that, you're working with clients that typically appreciate what you do for them. It's just, it's much easier to get up and go to the office and to do what you do. And it shifts it from being just a job to being, a career or whatever word, fancy word you want to use. But, it definitely becomes more enjoyable.
For sure. That's awesome.
Let me ask you this. 98% retention.
Yes.
How do you improve? What does an agency in your position do? What is the next step?
Well, 2%.
Fair enough, right? But what is the next challenge aside from 2%? What is the next challenge that a person in your position is saying, you know what, we've got to tackle this next. This is where we've got to refine some things. This is where we have to improve if we're going to take those next steps as an organization.
I think the next step is just as we continue to try to push to grow, is to be able to continue to replicate that same behavior, the different workflows and whatever else that we're involved in, that to teach the additional staff, as we continue to grow, to continue to just amp that up.
Is it just a matter of trying to refine, also filling the pipeline, getting more sales opportunities? The more people you can get in there to sell, the more you can. I think it's a two-edged sword. I think you fill the pipeline so that you can have more people who can jump in that 98%, but then also you open it up. Maybe you open up to people that aren't your ideal customer always, and they harm your retention. What's the balance for you? How do you balance trying to build new sales while still maintaining the profitability on the back end? What does that look like for you?
Well, I think you got to be selective with, who your target market is. We've been intentional about, what our mission is, our mission statement, our core values, as well as also our value proposition, and who our ideal client is. And I've been really intentional about, teaching my staff what they look like, and knowing whenever someone doesn't fit that box that we pass on them. And, one of the things that we have used since December as well is using, our primary lead source for personal lines business is the Dave Ramsey organization, which has really connected us with a lot of people that kind of fit that same sort of model for us. I think the next thing is then, as we go into, other forms of marketing, to make sure that we continue to do that, realizing that, I've got to always continue to teach my staff that this is the box that we want, of the type of client that we want. They don't fit into that box, we're going to pass.
I like it. So what do you do when you pass them? Do you have another agency that you partner with, or?
I do. I've got, there's an agency here in Natchez, Mississippi. They're right across the Mississippi River from me. And if it's anything that's non-standard, we always send it over to them.
That's awesome, man. That's a good model. A lot of people that are in the industry too, they're scared to lose an opportunity, right? The idea of saying no to potential business I agree with you. And I think it's just counterintuitive, because a lot of people, as they're growing their book, they feel like it's growth at all costs, which, you see that in the software side. It's like, acquire. A lot of softwares are willing to lose money if they can gain market share, things like that. But it's interesting, as you start to do a service-based industry like insurance, saying no more than you say yes becomes kind of a normal procedure, right? It's like, I think that's one of the definitive things here, why you're able to get a 98% retention rate, whereas most people would struggle to get 85, 90. It just, you're starting off with the creme de la creme, and then you're treating them the way that aligns with your values. So I think if anything, if the listeners were to take one thing from this, it's really define your lane and stay in it, is kind of what I'm hearing from you. You have that avatar of the ideal client, and you're very systematic at not only finding them, but working with them and turning away things that don't meet that mold. I think that's a very there's a lot of wisdom in that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like this in any business that wants to sell some sort of a product. You got one or two things you got to do. Either you got to figure out the market that you've got and what it is that they want, and then deliver that to them. And unfortunately, sometimes you've got to make compromises that maybe you aren't happy with to do that. I'm in an extremely rural area. There's only so many people here. I said at the beginning, there's 4,000 people in my town. You drew a 50-mile radius circle around my town. There's maybe 40,000 people, maybe. It's just not a lot of people. And then there's also just not a lot of preferred home auto customers in that region. So the second thing you can do is if you there's not enough market there for what you want to sell is, well, then you got to figure out, okay, this is what I want to sell. How do I get to the market?
Yeah. So I have a question for you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I want in this, I'm going to ask you a question on behalf of a certain segment, and I want you to speak directly to them, okay, with the answer. How would you, if you could pass on a lesson or wisdom about being an agency owner, an agent in a rural community to rural agents, what would you like if you could deliver some value to them about how to grow their business? Whether it's kind of disarming a myth, or whether it's just something that you've learned about running a business in a rural area. What would you say to agency owners and agents that are in small towns?
I think the most important thing is to not believe the myth that all the big online markets are going to put you out of business. They're there. They're going to be there. Instead of being afraid of them, figure out how to adapt and to compete against them and to get out there, because there's tons of people that they want to talk to a person that knows something about insurance. And a lot of those big online markets, they don't. They're going to get better. The truth is they're going to get better, but still, at the end of the day, instead of being afraid of them, figure out how to change yourself so that you can go out there and compete and get your piece of the market that's out there. I think that's the most important thing.
I love that. Well, it's kind of cool too, because you've defined your sector of the clientele that you really want. And it sounds to me like the people that would normally want to work with more of the direct carrier type, you're getting the commission, but you pretty much still gave them to the direct carrier. So I could totally see why it's like, why would they move? That's what they wanted. You just get a cut of it.
Right. Exactly.
That's great. I mean, that's a smart model.
Beaux, I want to thank you so much for being on our podcast today. We are running short on time here. I just want to say how much we appreciate you joining the Better Podcast. I love everything, all the input that you give us on the Better Agency side as well, to help us make that platform the best platform that it can possibly be. If people have questions, maybe they want to reach out to you, what's the best way for another agency owner to do that?
Oh, they're welcome to reach out to me. Of course, they can find me on Facebook. They can also email me. It's Beaux. BEAUX at readinsla.com, or they're welcome to give me a call or shoot me a text. It's 318-719-5203. Always glad to help anybody.
Yeah, Beau's a great person for the rural agents that are watching. And it's like there's a lot of misconceptions about being a small town agent and the limitations on growth and stuff like that. I think Beaux defies a lot of those myths, and he's a great asset to be connected to because he shows the possibilities of being in a small town and having big success.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that, guys.
Well, Beaux, thank you so much again for your time. We appreciate you. If you guys are looking for more information on how to grow your agency in a way that's going to allow you to have more freedom, more leverage, help you increase your retention rate from 80% to 90%, from 95% to 98% or more, then you need to check out Better Agency today, www.betteragency.io. Sign up for a 14-day trial, cost you $1. Like Beaux, you can see how we can transform your agency. Beaux, thank you again. We will see you on the next episode of the Better Podcast.
All right, brothers. Y'all have a good one.
See ya.